Jack, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Drew Fish, and my sobriety date is April the 16th, 2001. And I'm going to do my very best to follow the instructions in the book. I'm going to tell you what I was like and what happened and what I'm like now. But and I have been busy. The one thing I want to accomplish tonight, I spoke at the 30-year anniversary in Vass, and my sister played the tape and sent it to me, and I sounded like kind of a combination between Ernest T. Bass and Jethro Bodine. So I'm gonna work on my grammar. I mean, it was terrible. It was kind of embarrassing, but this is not public speaking. This is AA, and I understand that. But I asked Siri today. I've been sober 5,535 days in a row, and when I got here, I didn't think I could do one day, and I hated y'all. Hey Drew, and people were welcoming, being nice. I thought y'all were a bunch of losers. I really did. I mean, I just hated you. I didn't want you to speak to me because my life was a total disaster. I'm a real literature guy, and sometimes I jump around a little bit. My sponsor has spoken here, and Mason last week, we're in the same sponsorship tree, so we kind of got it the same way. Our group, we have read the first 104 pages in the preface and the doctor's opinion out loud to each other several times, and ask each other to go out in the real world and follow the directions. 15 years ago, a man gave me this book here, and I always try to bring it with me because my book looked like this, and his looked like that. He said, if your book is as torn up as mine, your life may not be quite as torn up. And for some miracle, I happened to hear that. So I've been through there, and I wouldn't know. I'd messed the whole thing up and left by my own devices because my way just didn't work in any kind of way. But a lot of things in the book, I was wondering why Chuck invited me, and I look at the forward of the first edition, and I like to read a lot of things where it helped me so much. But it says that, forward to the first edition, it says that we will be interested to hear from those who have had results from our book, especially those who have been working with others. And also, furthermore, at the very beginning of the forward of the first edition, for some reason, this stuck in my mind because I made up my mind to start with. I was such a loser that I was going to just be quiet and at least take a good, honest, open-minded look. And it says right at the very beginning, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. And it's done exactly that for me. It showed me day by day, step by step. It gave me a sequential plan on how to recover. So I'm really pleased with that, and I want to make sure that I don't miss I'm going to miss on everything, but the book tells me to reiterate the spiritual aspect of the program, which it is the entire program. And what our book tells us in We Agnostic on page 44, if when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, or if when drinking you have little control over the amount you take, you're probably alcoholic. If that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness that only a spiritual experience will conquer. In the back of the book, in the appendix, it'll tell us there's a profound change in attitude and behavior. Bill Wilson wrote a book about a new pair of glasses, and that's exactly what it's done for me. And what I want to tell you, those 5,535 days, my life has gotten better every day. For 15 years, 1 month, and 26 days. But I've been driving for an hour, and Siri told me all that, so I was cheating. I asked her on my phone, and she told me that. But what I was like, I remember when I was young, I had a connected family. My parents stayed married 50-some years, and I had 6 brothers and sisters, and everything was pretty much intact. And I always felt bad about myself, and I didn't want to tell anybody. And I was a pathological liar my entire life. if I did a certain thing in school, I would tell you that I would embellish that and tell you I did better than I really did. And I would make up stories about who I was and what kind of person I was, because I thought y'all really were thinking about me and really concerned about who I was and things like that, which, so it certainly took me 44 years to learn that y'all didn't think about me very much. And I was worried about it a lot. But things were intact for me, and I didn't have any trouble in school, and I loved athletics, and I was very, very fortunate, very blessed in those areas. And I was afraid of my father, so I was afraid to drink very much, or really any at all, because I was scared of my father. And but he was just a kind and loving man, but he didn't tolerate misbehaviors and things like that. But I remember I was like 16 years old, and the very first time I took a drink, it was I think a 22 ounce, but it was a 32 ounce Budweiser, and they were in a dark brown bottle, and I chugged the whole thing. And it made me, I could dance, I could sing, I could do all kind of things, and I could communicate with people, and I could be another person. The book's real clear about talking about the stage character. And it let me be the stage character and put on the show. And I drank to get drunk right from the very start. And I was a blackout drinker. I would drink until I would fall out and pass out and sick and get thrown up. And throw up. Later on, I got locked up. But, when it got worse. And, I was always driven when I just wasn't good enough. And I just had such a misconception about life, and I thought I was supposed to be everything to everybody, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I wanted the prettiest girl in school, and matter of fact, I married the homecoming queen at my high school, and East Carolina University was the same person, because everybody wanted her, and she's a great person. I'm just not marriage material. Danny and I talk about that a lot, because my history and my step work, failure, loser, failure. I've never been any good at things like that. But I strive for that, and I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and my dad worked very hard. And I saw him how many late hours he would work to put my older brothers through school, and I was determined that I was going to work hard enough and make my own way, and I was able to do that, to get my education paid for. And it certainly don't sound like it with my grammar, but I didn't pay attention in English. I must have cheated on the test or something. But I did get a degree, and I was really, that was something that was very important to me. And then I got married right away out of college. But when I was at school, because I was scared to drink in high school very much, and it wasn't really a problem, but I went to East Carolina University, and I started drinking on Thursday nights. Everybody would go out and party and get drunk and try to go to class and then go where they went on weekends. And then my sophomore year, I started drinking on Thursday and Friday and Saturday night. And then after that, it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because I liked the effect, and I liked the way it made me feel, and I liked what it did for me. And I just lied to everybody about everything. And I got married right away, and just was a complete egomaniac. I'm really embarrassed about it, but I'm not really. No, I used to be embarrassed about it. I'm 60 years old now, and I figured it doesn't make much difference anymore. But I just, I went to work, I just worked day and night, and then I'd start drinking just about every night and going out and partying, and I was the worst husband that I could have possibly been, and I had 3 children right away, and people would say something, "What are you doing, man?" I said, you got this, you see my wife, stupid stuff like that, just very egotistical and arrogant about everything. And I ended up moving down here in 1984 because I got a business opportunity, and I had a lot of what I thought was success. And it didn't help me a bit. It made things worse. I got an insurance business here, and had 3 children, but I was out at Some of y'all will remember Jay Albert's club. I was in there about every night, and then the other bars and clubs and everything around here, and just a very, very, very dishonest guy. And matter of fact, I want to make it very clear that if you are married or you're in a committed relationship, I don't have any right to hurt people. And that is just so wrong. And I've worked real hard to repair those damages, in my step work. But, I was just a liar and a cheater. And I want to just make that clear. That's just a really bad idea. Really bad idea. As a matter of fact, I sponsor a lot of guys saying that we'll be interested to hear from people who have had results from our book, and especially working with other. I'm sure I've tried to figure out how many fifth steps I've taken, and I know it's over 75 and less than 100. And I've spent a lot of time going through the book, and I make that real clear with young men how wrong that is. And I mean, I take a real hard line on that. And some people want to be a better person, and a lot of people don't. And they just want to keep being the same person they were. They just want to stop drinking, which the spiritual experience doesn't include that. So to kind of fast forward a little bit, I started getting in a lot of trouble, and I mean a lot of trouble. And I worked real hard. I was the agent for Nationwide Insurance, and I worked really hard. And I had a really nice business. And I remember I started getting arrested, but I knew all the policemen and everything. And I mean, one of them pulled me over at Podgy Pew's or some Pennsylvania Avenue, and pulling out of Podgy's, I was going all kind of mess. And he said, "Okay, Drew, get out." He said, "All right, well, I'll have to give you a test." I said, "Okay, man, that'll be great." He said, "All right, spread your legs and tilt your head back and hold your arms out." I said, "Man, this is dangerous as crap for a guy in my condition." I remember saying that because he reminded me. I said, "I can't do this in my condition." And he said, okay, we won't do that. He said, "Just walk the line for me." I said, "Man, it goes all the way to Carthage. Wouldn't you just take me? Can you just take me out of your life?" But that was just, that was part of my stuff. And I got separated and divorced based on my alcoholism and my behavior and my dishonesty, and it just hit like a bombshell. I had 3 small children, and I lost my contract with Nationwide for some criminal charges that I got. I got some felonies. I got 2 felony violence charges, and they pulled my contract, and it cost me everything that I had. So I lost my family, my wife, and everything that I had. And so I went completely berserk. Just went crazy. And I drank and did the dope and everything you could possibly think of, because I just didn't want to live. I mean, I really didn't. Because I didn't see any way out. And Danny will tell you, if y'all want to ask him over in the corner, he told me 2 or 3 times over the years, he said, "I have never seen anybody drink and dope as dangerous as you did. Not one that was even close." And I've had people put me out of the car when I had all the dope, But really, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But it really is bad. But my life was ruined, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I got locked up a few times, and that didn't do any good. And the church put their hands on me and prayed over me, and I was right back what I was doing, and it was just terrible. And I ended up at 44 years old, and I was living with my mommy. I just lived in Pinehurst, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I had a girl's bicycle with a basket on the top with no gears, really, and I hadn't bathed in a few days, riding around this town and in Fuquay, Varina, outside of Raleigh, where my mom lived. And I'd ride by my dad's business and our church, and they'd say, "Hey, Drew, hey, what's up, man? What's up? I'm doing great." Yeah, riding this bike. It's just, and just oblivion. All I wanted to do was, where could I get something else to drink? And then when I say that, I did it all. I got tracks just like crazy. But I went to, I think, 7 treatment centers. I went to Moore County Hospital several times. Right up here at on 5 right before you get to Jackson Hamlin and everything. I faked a heart attack one time because I didn't have anywhere to sleep and got the ambulance taken me to the hospital. And finally they threw me out and all kind of stuff. And then I signed a really bad separation agreement. I mean, a terrible one. I said, this is my wife. She just wanted, get control, get me under gear. So I signed it and everything, and it was really, really, really bad for me. So I went to the psych ward, and I had read up that day on what the symptoms were to be completely nuts, So I went in there and just acting stupid and just talking crazy. And I was able to get that agreement thrown out of court, and I got to redo it, but I was just ignorant, just pure idiot stuff. And, I got locked up a few more times. I did, first time I got in, other than 2 or 3 days, I caught me 4 months, and I missed Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, my birthday, and the Super Bowl, my first 4-month stint, and I was drunk as soon as I got out. And, but I even got the guys in the jailhouse. They knew I was a little soft, and they told me I was on the Christmas rush list. That when the jails got full around Christmas, they let the smartest inmates leave for Christmas. So I was on the Christmas rush list. He's laughing, but that's just ignorant. What? I'm on the Christmas rush list. Fool, get me out of here. They were laughing like crazy. They thought that was funny, but it ended up. I was stealing and doing whatever, but it ended up that I didn't have anywhere to sleep, and I didn't have anywhere to go, and I had lived in Pinehurst, and I had a home at Myrtle Beach, and I drank it all up. Pipe got some of it too. So, but I did that, and I was just homeless, and my mother put me out. And, everybody asked me, said, what made you finally give up and come to AA? I said, I didn't give up, man. They said, the stuff chased me in here. I didn't give up nothing. And I said, it chased me in here. I didn't have any food. I didn't have anywhere to lay down. I didn't have anything. There were 6.3 billion people on the planet, April 16th, 2001, and I had burnt every bridge. I had nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere. And there was a shelter, a homeless shelter, that gave me a bed, and they gave me a bed and some food, and they had a program of recovery. And in order to keep my bed and to be fed, I had to be a member of AA. I said, yeah, I'm in. And that's what got me started, and I hated it. And of course, the byproduct, I've been very active in the fundraising of Healing Transition in Wake County, and they saved me. They didn't want anything from me but to help me. I told everybody there, I said, we're going to have to go to work for them. We're going to have to do something. I'm going to get me a house, and they're going to want to take it from me. I know what's going to happen. But I found out that all they wanted to do was help me. And that's what I'm doing here tonight, man. I'm paying it back, because they took me in when I didn't have anywhere to go. Mr. Fred Barber, rest his soul, he's deceased. He raised $5 million for that facility that I went to. I served on the board of directors for 8 years too. So I was really proud when they invited me. That's a little growth, don't you think? And which is really nice. And I take an active role there. Mr. Barber, he raised that money. Matter of fact, they asked me, they said, you need to go talk to Mr. Barber and tell him how you're raising this money, because I was very aggressive about those things. And I said, nah. I said, Jim Valvano and Michael Jordan and Jimmy Valvano and ESPN, they raised $22 million in 11 years. I said, Mr. Barber raised $5 million right here in Raleigh alone with no TV. I said, I'm not telling him nothing. And I was able to, learn some humility and things. But I got into my step work, and I just went through the motions, and I hated y'all. I had to go to meetings and class every day. I hated y'all so bad. Y'all were such losers, and y'all were stupid, And I stayed for that 100 days that our literature talks about. I stayed that 100 days where the fog cleared, and I looked at my path of destruction, and I looked at what I'd done and the problems I'd caused, and just what a sorry person I was. It was terrible. But I remember a lot of people say, did y'all hear about Drew Fish? Poor Drew, did you hear about him? Did y'all hear about him? He's such a nice guy. And when I did my step work, my sponsor, who spoke here about a month ago, Jerry Wheeler, He was a young man. He was 13 years younger than me, but I wanted to be like him. He spread that paperwork across his living room floor. He said, "That's a sorry, sorry person on that paper. That guy's not no good." I heard people talking about so good. He said, "But the good news is we've got some more step work that follows this up that helps you not be that guy again." He said, "That's the good news." And, I started doing my step work at the treatment center, and I got in my book and I got in my literature, and I just made a decision that the only really one that I made, and which was just by the grace of God, which is unmerited favor, which means I don't deserve that from God. That's what grace is. And I just decided I was going to follow the directions in the book, and I was going to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir. And I was going to do whatever my sponsor, whatever they asked me, and whatever the facility asked me to do. And for some unknown reason, for the first time in my life, I tried not to run the show and tried not to be the actor and the stage character that the alcohol gave me. And that's, like I told you to start with, that's when my life started getting better and better and better and better. Right away, I started sponsoring guys. I started spending time with them, and having a sponsor that set an example for me, I can never ever repay him. I would have come down here any way possible would I have opportunity to be of service, because that's the example he set for me. And it was just I had some guys asked me to sponsor them one night, and I said, "Man, I've already got 4 guys I'm working with. I don't have time. But I'm gonna help you get somebody. I'll get some, one of my guys that I work with to help you." And I called Jerry when I was on the way home. He said, "Is that guy that was locked up in jail that didn't have a life or anything? Is that the one that don't have time?" I said, "No, I'm gonna call him in a minute. That's the one that's gonna make time." And that's the way I was sponsored, and that's the way I sponsored being. And it's. I'm very, very, very serious about the literature and people that want to change their life, because you must have a spiritual experience to conquer alcoholism, and it's a profound change in attitude and behavior. You have to act different. You have to live different. You have to look at other people different. You have to deal with whatever defects of your character that you have, whether it's racism or whatever, or just tolerance for other people. And Ali was awesome about it. He just died and everything. Listen, that he was awesome about being loving and caring and just trying to be helpful. But I've had, and I'm here at this facility, and I have people that are paying my way and give me food and clothing and housing, and I'm able to write about my problems in my 4-step work. I didn't have to answer a phone. I didn't have to go to work. And I tell men all the time, I said, "You've got the biggest privilege in your world. You're able to work on your innermost, defects and find a power greater than yourself so you can recover from alcoholism and have a productive life." And that's what they did for me. And I was able to write the things down that made me mad, and write the things down that I didn't like, and write the things down that created my problems in my life. And I had a guy that was willing to sit and spend time with me to help me not be that guy. A spiritual experience for me is for me to take all my 4-step work and be the exact opposite of what that 4-step said I was. And the reason that we need support and sponsorship, and the reason I'm such a big advocate about it, is because the 5th step tells you very clearly a solitary self-appraisal is insufficient. I know Danny and I talked a lot of time. I called him one day and I said, blah, 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 blah. He said, "Come on, man, I'm doing the best I can." I said, "Well, who's the judge? You?" And he made a lot of, because that's the way I got it, and a lot of people don't like it. And if y'all are like me, I would hate me. I'm glad you're here. And if you talk about me and say, "Who was that SOB with the white shoes and looks like the mobile home salesman that come by," and this, that, and who was that guy? I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, and I want you to come back, and I want you to keep coming back, because I can't tell you what it's done for me and my children. But I was able to do these things, and in turn, with the step work, and it's very long. It takes a lot of time, because the book tells me very clearly that nothing will help me with my recovery than intense work. Not just, "Hey, how you doing? I'll give you a ride to meet," intense work. That means going through the following directions, and it means to me what it means to me. I'm not going to tell you what it should mean to you, but that's what it means to me. I've had so many good experiences, man. I was working with one guy, and we were going through his sex conduct, and he was, kind of bragging on this, that, and other, like I would do, and going through these things. I said, well, how about your ex-wife? How'd that affect you, what she did when y'all busted up? And as soon as I said that, I said, whoops, I forgot to help myself because it hurt too bad. I ain't gonna deal with it. So I had to revisit that. And so many things. I had one guy call me one time, and he said, Drew, he said, I'm having the worst time. I'm here at my apartment. They're downstairs. The band's playing. They're partying. They're drinking. They got liquor. They got all kind of ice and margaritas, and it's driving me crazy. He said, I need some experience, strength, and hope. I need some experience, strength, and hope. I said, oh my goodness, this is way too early for me to tell you this. This is like the secret handshake. He said, just tell me. I said, can you smell the weed down there? And he said, yeah. And I said, I can even smell the liquor. I said, okay, how much liquor do you have in the house, and beer and alcohol? He said, none. I said, okay, stay in the house. I said, call me in the morning. I said, if you want to go out of that house, it's over with. Just stay in the house, man. It's really not that hard. Just stay in the house. But, really, it's just that, and I went to the Kentucky Derby for like 10 straight years, and I travel a lot, and I've got one of my businesses out of the country, and people ask me, how do I do it? I said, how do you go there? How do you go to Las Vegas and to LA and to New York and Brazil and wherever? I said, I don't drink anymore. That's really, I just don't do it, under any circumstances. But it's just kind of like somebody giving you something and you work something, invest a lot of time. I've invested too much in my kids and different things like that. But moving back into a bunch of things I want to tell you, and I'm looking at this dishonest guy, and I've had a bunch of moments of clarity. As a matter of fact, my number one attraction to AA, like Brian read, is I'm going to stop on time. Because I went to the Baptist church and we sang Just As I Am like 87 times till 10:30, and AA let me out, right at closing time. So I'm going to be sure to do that. But, that's funny. But I want to get that out. But going through my stuff, I had some times, I remember I was when they let me go out and start working when I completed the program at this Healing Transitions. We couldn't leave the building at 6 o'clock, and I smoked cigarettes like crazy. And I woke up, and my roommate had gone on a pass. He was gone out of town, and I woke up about 4 o'clock, and I wanted a cigarette so bad I didn't know what to do. And then, we stayed. The first room I stayed in was with 70 people, and then I had 6 in my room, and then I had 4, and then I had 2. Now we got down to my living conditions had improved. It was kind of like a Comfort Inn suite, and I went in the bathroom and flipped the light on, and dang, that ceiling fan come on. I said, Yep, went got me a chair and a lighter and a cigarette, climbed up on the chair, flipped that fan on. I said, nobody's going to know but me. And I dropped that lighter, and I said, that's been my problem my whole life. If you didn't have the tape, the video, the audio, and a copy of the tape, I didn't do it. Just a liar, and that has helped me so much over the years. Just being an honest, honorable guy, no matter, especially when nobody's looking, and thinking that that just was such a big problem for me of my spiritual illness that I have, because I had no contact with any power than greater than myself. But I went to Vacation Bible School, went to church and all that, but I didn't listen to none. I wasn't going for the stuff. But I was able to get my own conception. And I had another time, Chris Budnick, he's the executive director of the treatment center now. I got confronted there by some people that I didn't like, and I didn't have it about 9 months sober, so I could act crazy. And they confronted me on something, and it really made me mad. And we couldn't talk about other people. They wouldn't let you stay there. And I walked outside and I said, that SOB, that son of a bitch, you know, and I was so mad at that guy, the guy that really confronted me. And I was just talking and I used some racial comments, and I worked on that, and Chris tapped me on the shoulder, in which that was zero tolerance for that type of behavior in our center. And they tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and I said, well, I'm gonna get kicked out. He heard everything I said because it was awful. And he said, I heard every word that you said, Drew. I said, I know. I said, you want me back? He said, no, I don't know what you're gonna do about it. And I went and got my step work, and I looked through all my resentments and all my anger and the whole thing, and I just responded very poorly. I responded like an immature little boy to my resentments and my anger and things like that. And I was able to have a sponsor and a strong support group and a home group that helped me, and that was able to work with me and help me not be that guy, you know, all those kind of things. And then I've had guys, just so many things, it's unbelievable what AA has taught me, my groups, and especially working with others. And I had a guy, I took a real hard line the other day when a guy I was sponsoring, him and his wife called me, and he had called her some really bad words, and he had pushed her. And they wanted to work on his anger issues. That was on the step work, his anger issues. And I said, really? Is that what you want to do? He said, yeah. Huh. And she was on the phone. I said, didn't you get in a big argument at the golf course with Ronnie B? Really, really heated argument the other day, and he told you he was going to whip you? He said, yeah, I sure did. I said, you left and went and got in your car, didn't you? He said, yeah. I said, so really you don't have any anger issues, you got punk issues. Because you were able to control it when Ronnie confronted you, and your wife is smaller than you and she's a lady, and you take it out on her. But you were able to control your anger with him because he was going to whoop your ass is what was going to happen. You know, and I just learned, I mean, people say they've got certain things and it's just not. Anger issues, that guy's going to jail. He's going to get locked up no matter who it is. You know, and get in a lot of trouble and everything. But, you know, it's just, because I've gotten it that way. I get a real clear message from the guys out there that work with me and help me with my stuff. But going on through my step work, I mean, I don't need any medals or anything, and I'm going to tell you what worked for me. You know, I made a list of all the people I had harmed and all the financial amends that I had and what have you, and it took me 66 months to address my first list, everything on there. And during that period of time, I had taken care of all my financial amends, and some of my stuff was $20 here every single month or whatever, and being very consistent about it, and dealing with my ex-wife and making some commitments to my children and some things that I'm very, 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 very proud of. And AA's given me college degrees for all three of my children and no student loans, and AA gave it to me for $1 a meeting. I would not have had anything and been able to be a real dad to them, and because that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a real dad instead of a punk dad like that guy. And I don't mind calling it like it is, because I mean, the truth's the truth, and a lot of time it hurts, but the truth really helped me when people got hard on me about those things. But I had to do those things, and I had to drive down here, and I had to confront these people that I screwed over. And a lot of people, I did some business deals that I was shady about it, lied to them, and I had to make it right, and I had to pay them. And I didn't want to do it all the time. I mean, like I said, I came kicking and screaming, but my support group, they just didn't tolerate anything any less. As a matter of fact, I started having some financial success with about 4 years sober, and I called my sponsor and I said, I'm gonna go buy this house at Devil's Ridge, and it's on the golf course, it's got a pool, it's what I like, blah, blah, blah. He said, I think that's great, Drew. I think you need to go ahead and do it. You just make sure that if you put any money in it, it belongs to you. I said, well, he said, well, hell, and hung the phone up. You know, and I mean, then I get to choose, do I want to turn around and be that same guy and go spend somebody else's money to buy me a house? And I didn't do it. Didn't do it. And I sure wanted to, but the house that you came in, that belongs to me. That belongs to me. I don't owe nobody. I mean, I owe but I don't owe any extra. I didn't spend somebody else's money, what I put in, let's put it that way. And I sure didn't want to do it. But, then I moved forward, and the steps are in order. And the book is just unbelievable. Every time I read through the steps with a newcomer, and like I said, if you don't want to read the whole book and follow the directions, don't ask me to help you. Don't, because if I sit there and tell you my stuff, I'll have it all messed up. But this book won't mess it up. And mine's in pretty bad shape, that one. I look at my signature here, I was in bad shape. Look at that. That guy was drunk in hell right down the road there. Looked like number 2 kindergarten pencil. But then, I don't have any spiritual contact with nothing because I was so scared of God. I was on this list. I was scared to death. I won't touching that deal. But they let me, I had, God, wouldn't have hunger and starvation, and people dying and disease and everything. That's unfair, blah, blah, blah. I've had every excuse in the world. And then when I was able to surrender and have any God of my conception, anyone, nobody challenged me on that. And the book is so clear about it. Just get the power greater than yourself that's stronger than you. And it's not a doorknob, and it's not a chair, and it's not a table. It said that one is God. May you find him now. Okay, just the book's really clear about that. It ain't no chair. It ain't no doorknob. Ain't no, how that sound? It ain't no hellfire to goodness. But that's crazy. But it allowed me to do that. And since probably I lied, every time I shared in meetings, I lied like crazy about my spirituality, my relationship with God. Just lied like a dog sitting right here my first 2 years. But I don't do that no more. I got a real good relationship with my God, the way I understand him, and he and I communicate. And he's like the bobblehead doll for me. He sits on my dash and sits in my room, and it's a WWJD. What would Jesus do, really? I mean, and I'm not selling that one. It's just whatever yours is. But, that's what spiritual people do. They don't do inappropriate things. And daddies don't do things that are crazy. I mean, fathers don't do that. I told a guy the other day, I said, man, daddies don't smoke crack, really. Really, I mean, they just don't. And every problem that I have and every problem that I've had with every man that I've ever worked with, there is an astronomical level of immaturity. And put me at the top of the list. Put me in the book. Where's my stroller at? Bad English there. Where's it at? But and I do have a degree. I don't know how I got it. But I do because I got paid to do some things there. So they just gave it to me, I guess. But then I get, it's just right on. Then I've had a spiritual experience because I changed the way I thought. And I had some, I don't mind talking about, I had some black guys that I got sober with. And they said, man, you said you use some words that ain't right, man. I said, I don't want to be that guy, man. Help me. Because then when I'd hug the black guys, their skin was different than mine, their hair texture was different than mine, and I wasn't familiar with it. And that's a form of prejudice and everything. I had to own that, but I'm not like that no more. Because it's just, let's just love everybody. Let's everybody be happy and be nice to everybody because we all hurt the same way. Everybody's heart breaks the same. Everybody's heart breaks the same. I love these guys too. They help me. Because listen, they will reel me in. The easiest thing to do is say, forget that guy. But they were men enough to confront me with the defects of my character that I was afraid to work on. Because there's a bunch of them too. I can run down the list. But after I started changing and being a different person, my life just started getting awesome. And the more service work I did, the luckier I got. And I got lucky in every phase of my life. And I served that board, and I don't sound like a bureaucracy guy. I hate politics and organization and stuff like that. But I sat right there and held my nose, and I told them I didn't like them. Don't like nobody who did like them. But that we had some touchy issues with some things. And then I get to work with guys now. As far as sponsees go, to hear them tell it, I got like 18. To hear me tell it, I get to work with. I had the privilege of working with about 12. There's 6. I work with like 6 guys that have got over 10 years. And I got a 19-year-old, a 21-year-old. God bless their soul. They're lucky if they stay one day. But they got them a few months put together, and that's just an honor and a privilege. And man, I had this. Well, he just turned 20. I had a 20-year-old kid the other day tell me he wanted to be like me, and the life I lived for 45 years and what AA's done for me, man, I can't tell you how it is, but it's every bit in the book. And if I had to tell you how it works and what I'm like now, I didn't change any words. I didn't fill in anything. And when I first did my first fourth step, I added a couple of extra columns for me. The sponsor tore it up through the trash can. You got to be crazy. You got 2 extra blocks. But I'm trying to change those things. But follow the directions in your book, and it'll tell you what to do, and it'll tell you how to handle your problems, and it'll tell you, how to look at things and own your own business and who you are, and what you need to change, because the things that are indispensable, the book talks about, is honesty, open-minded, and willingness. And they are indispensable. And Herbert Spencer talks in the back of the book. He said the principle that will leave a man in everlasting ignorance, barring all other principle. He was an English philosopher in 1800, and it's in the back of the book. He said there's not a principle that will destroy a man any more than contempt prior to investigation, and that's being contemptuous. Say, man, them steps ain't no good. I'm just going to go to meetings and do this. Them steps are not any good. The path is the step work. Brian read earlier today, he said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And thoroughly means thoroughly. And it doesn't mean skipping around and doing the ones that you like and doing the ones that you don't want to do. I had another moment of clarity too when my son got a huge promotion in his work, and he had to go to Shanghai, China, and I Googled it, and there was 24.5 million people there, and I was able to fly with my son there, and I will never forget it. But he had a girl, and they just had broke up, and he said, Daddy, I don't have anybody to share it with. And I told him, I said, I wish your daddy was good enough for something like that, but it's not. I like to die, and I went to the airport, and I had a nice ticket, and I went to the Admiral's Club. I got pictures of it. They had all the liquor up there with just push button. You could just get what you wanted. I took my pictures of it. I was 7,000 or 8,000 miles away from home, 15 hours on a plane, and I said, well, nobody know but me. As far as this has got to be over a statute of limitations so many miles away to be sure you can take a drink of Crown Royal. You can take one. But that time in that bathroom and that time of being in that facility and that time I spent, which I stayed like 9 months in the program, and people talk about, I'm not going to go stay that long. I'm going to tell you, if you end up and anybody relapses, time in a great controlled environment it's just a microdot to your whole life. I really would encourage you to do that if you'd call me, because just those things like that helped me so much. And I said right now, I took the pictures of it and I forwarded them to 2 or 3 guys in my support group and sent it to them. I was like, here, I'm looking at it, but I ain't gonna drink it. That's what I had 14 years sober then, but come on, man, 7,000 miles away and go ride that plane for 5 hours. Me scared as hell because that plane was bumping like that with 400 people on it. I mean, really, that's got to be a lot of wind or some type of turbulence or something. Really, it just kind of got me. But I tell you, it's really good. I love going to AA. I really do, and I love what I've seen it do for other people. And I'll be glad to give anybody in here my number. You're welcome to call me anytime. But I'm really, really serious about making that commitment. It's like, you probably have heard it like Ralph Petway said, it's just like bacon and eggs. He was one of my instructors at the treatment center. I stayed for 9 years. He said, sobriety is just like bacon and eggs. I said, what are you talking about? He said, the chicken participated in the breakfast. He said, but the hog, he made a total commitment. I always thought that was pretty cool. But giving us time, the solution to alcoholism is a spiritual experience and nothing else. And we have some literature, and we have a lot of people that are here today that have just come to try to help somebody. Man, you don't see that in politics. You don't see it in our government. They talk about it, and you don't see it. You really don't see it anywhere but right here. It's the best place that I've ever been, is in here with a bunch of people that just come together to try to help each other. I mean, what an amazing thing. And just, just love it. Let's love everybody. And the people that you don't like in AA, and the people you don't like what they say, based on my experience, man, just give them a hug and just tell them you love them. And tell your sponsor that you're a punk and you're a jerk and you want to change it and you want to be different. And what do you need to do? And it goes, and the last little secret tip I'll tell you, if you want to be a spiritual person and you want to stop drinking and you want to find a power greater than yourself, you have to actually do it. You have to actually stop drinking. You have to actually be that guy. Thanks.